friend's an asshole.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. And I think that the friend who said it I would just block them. Like you're a moron. That's my advice to her. You're a moron.
It's none of our business. 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 Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the It's Really None of Our Business podcast.
I'm so proud of you because you said it right this time.
I usually at least stutter a couple times when I say it.
I'm waiting for you to say the Tell Me More podcast, but no, you got it. You got it.
I did it.
You did it.
I'm Amanda. That's Monica.
And I'm Monica. Hey.
What is this show about? This show is about us shooting the shit and, what I don't know how to.
Well, generally it's us sitting there just making fun of life and drinking. And normally we drink together, but now we're drinking apart.
We're doing it over Zoom. This is 2 episodes in a row we're doing over Zoom, but I think that's okay because the next one we're gonna be in the brand new studio.
Yeah, the brand new right here. Yes. Right here, the brand new studio.
We were just using all of our ad revenue money and all the money you guys have been giving us to build a brand new studio. So that's actually where Monica is now.
Yeah. And so anyone who wants to send money for our studio or for us.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll put our email address in the show notes and you can just send us some money.
Absolutely.
Does that work? Like, you know how you hear podcasters and they all, this is my Patreon page and you can have the full unedited edition. And I'm like, who the fuck wants to hear that?
I think a lot of people probably do. That's how a lot of those shows are making money these days. And
I'd like to know if any of them are, especially the little guys,
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to say. Some of the accounts that I follow will put screenshots when they get new Patreon followers, for $5 a month or whatever, just to show thank you, thank you, thank you. And I see them, but they're bigger accounts than us, I suppose.
A little bit bigger.
So anyway, so that's what this show is. We just shoot the shit and we scour the internet and we look for things to talk about. Normally we do it together. We're doing it separate today. But this is the last time you're not going to hear us. We're going to be in the same room next time, everybody. So don't you worry.
Hey, have you seen that new Netflix show, Yellowstone? Have you?
Yeah.
No. Is it Netflix or Prime?
It's Prime. I've been watching it on my lunch breaks when I'm on the treadmill. I'm so into it. It's so good.
Oh my, we don't usually agree about this kind of stuff, but you know how I was saying that Jason Momoa was my hall pass?
Okay.
I changed my mind.
Who?
That guy, what the hell's his name? I can't ever remember. He's the guy who kills everybody.
Rip.
I want to fuck.
I see the appeal. Rip's the one who, how far into it are you?
All seasons, all done. I did them all.
I'm only on season 2, probably middle way through season 2, but so he's the one who killed his dad and then ended up having to live with them. He's the son, not a son.
Yeah.
He's sexy as fuck. I also think Casey is hot, the one who's
Casey
native chick.
Yeah. He's also hot, but he's a little bit younger, but I like that darkness in Rip, right?
You like and you like the bulky guys.
Yeah, I like the bulky guys, and it makes you wonder about the human condition, why women feel this way, why there's this, because it was talking about that whole dirty Carhartt, he's the poster child of what I just said with a cowboy hat.
But then he's also he's got his softness to him too. He's you can see him, there's sweetness to him.
Right.
And there's nothing better than a guy who knows how to, at least we've talked about this, knows how to change a tire, but will also be nice to your
kill the neighbor for you.
But he'll be nice to your kids. And give them a piggyback ride,
Yeah. It's I just I'm feeling a little wet just talking
Yeah.
about it right
Yeah,
now.
I have to agree. Who do you the first day I watched that episode or that show, Karsten and I ate an edible and we
Good for you.
oh my God, so the very first episode, there's like, we didn't know who Rip was. We're like, who the fuck is this guy? And we were literally so confused. And then the daughter came on, whatever that Beth was on there.
Beth.
And I was like disgusted by her fucking bangs and how she was such a cunt. I was like, what kind of character is this? Like, she's grown on me through the show, but oh my God. I was like, it took me a couple episodes to get into the show and actually enjoy it.
She is a super cunt and remains a cunt the entire way, but you start getting a lot of respect for her near the end.
I still don't understand, and maybe they're gonna tell me why, but why does she hate her brother so much? Like, do they
they do let you know, and they kind of like foreshadow it along the way that it's not a usual hate. Like, she hates her brother so deeply that in one episode she actually, tries to get him to kill himself.
And then the one I just watched today, she was saying, one day, and I don't know how this is gonna happen, but somebody's gonna love you and you're gonna love them back. And I can't wait to take that from you, even if I have to do it myself. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? That's your brother? Like, what? He's just like so sad.
So that was the foreshadowing. That's the foreshadowing to why she hates him so much.
Interesting. Oh, I can't wait. I'm super into it. So good.
I know. I just binge watched. I think it took me a week or something, and I watched all 3 seasons.
Like, usually on my lunch break, I'll do a workout video, but I've been just going on the treadmill so I can watch that.
Good idea.
Because I'm so like, oh, like I could be doing that right now instead of talking to you, but
I wonder if that would make a good YouTube. We'll be on a treadmill talking about what Netflix we're watching. Nobody wants to watch that.
People watch the weirdest stuff on YouTube, man.
It's true. Like, kids watch people opening presents. Like, that's a YouTube channel, right?
My kids are obsessed. There's this one channel called Ryan's Toy Review, or I think they might have changed. And now, like, they're in Walmart, and the toys that they sell, because they'll push the toys in the video. So then the kids are like, I need that. And they are so overpriced. It's like junk for so much money. And I taught Colton like a pretty good money lesson recently about it, actually, because he wanted this egg thing. You unpack the egg and inside's all these treats and presents, but it was $30. And I said, if you want it, you have to pay for it yourself. Okay, cool. So he goes in his piggy bank and he brings the money in, and he got it home and he goes, this is all I get for $30. And then we talked about what else he could have bought for $30, and money. He understands the concept of money now. Like, he won't waste his money anymore. It's actually a good lesson. So thank you, Ryan.
I had a lesson like that backfire on me with my own baby boy, Johnny.
Tell me.
So his dad was always on eBay selling things all the time, right? So back in the day when eBay was like super cool. I don't know who sells on eBay anymore, but before Amazon, it was all eBay, right?
Right.
So Johnny's like 9 years old, and we have a thrift store in town, and everything in this thrift store is like a quarter. So Johnny goes into the thrift store and finds this car part. I don't even know what the fuck it is, but it's a car part. And he's like, I'm going to sell it on eBay. And I'm like rolling my eyes in my head going, Johnny, you can't sell it on eBay. It's not going to be worth anything. And his dad goes and helps him. So he takes this 25-cent thing and sells it for $100. It was some high performance car part.
Every story you've ever told me about your son leads me to believe he is like a true entrepreneur. Like, that kid needs to do something with his brain, because he comes up with shit like most kids don't think that way.
I guess
he had your husband to kind of guide him, but like to have that thought of like, I'm gonna go
I could sell this.
Yeah, I'm gonna, I don't know if he's done this, but like go door to door and try to mow people's lawns and then get people to work underneath me. Like, kids who do that, I'm like, when I'm a kid, all I did was like read books and like play with my toys. I wasn't thinking of how to make money. Like, that is a true entrepreneur. And that kid, if he's not opening a business, he's wasting his brain. I'm just telling you that right now.
He's not. He's just smoking weed at home, playing video games.
I don't know. He's got to do something.
I hope so. We'll see. Johnny doesn't listen to it.
I'm gonna send him a sound clip of me giving him life advice.
And he's like, I don't even know you.
Yeah, I don't know how to get a hold of him, but I'll find out.
Hey, I was listening to a podcast today, and it was talking about women in power, women in business. And the woman who was talking in the podcast was somebody in power. And she said that not all women can be in a position of power because they don't have what it takes to be hated. And I thought, well, that kind of blew me away. And I thought, that's it, isn't it? Like, I couldn't be somebody's boss because I can't, not because I don't have the skill set, but because I don't have what it takes to be hated. And then, so there was another woman, and she went and she was in a position of power. And within 2 weeks, she ended up like losing her voice. And a doctor said, have you been drinking a lot of coffee and talking in a really authoritarian voice? And she's like, yeah.
As a matter of fact.
Yeah. And so she ended up going to counseling, and the counselor said to her that you can't be anything more than you actually are. Like, you can't fake it. So if you're not that way, you can't do it. And it really made me think about how that relates to parenting, because you know how when we parent our children, we often do things that we're supposed to. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not really being authentic. We're doing the things that is sort of like, we parent this way because, like, we don't let our kids go to the park because what will the neighbors say, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of made me think about the fact that you need to be more yourself with your kids and just close the door and let them be outside.
I totally agree with you, actually. Like, I'm like having a moment here right now because I do agree. Like,
yeah.
I do that a lot. Like, when like we stayed in a house this weekend with another family, right? So like the way that the kids behave, like, so the kids are being super noisy and like jumping on the bed and stuff and just being kids.
Yeah.
And I wanted them to shut up, but it wasn't because I wanted them to shut up. It was because I like thought that the other parents did. So, you know, I was telling them to shut up because of that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I did kind of want them to.
What kind of parents were they? Were they, I'm just going to do this.
I love it. They're similar parents to us. They parent pretty much the same way. So it wasn't really the best example, but like, I do find that, yeah, I don't know. I know what you're saying for sure.
It's like, you know, when people tell you, okay, when your kids get older, for instance, they'll say, oh, Becky's going to university and Josh is the captain of the football team.
Yeah.
And so we have these, what the fuck are you drinking? What? You need to take 2 sips of the wine now to make up for that 1 sip of water.
You know, I already had like a couple glasses before I started, right? So give me a break.
Says the girl who's normally drinking club soda. So
nerd.
Yeah. And so I think that we have this idea that our children are a reflection of us, right? And so if they don't behave, or if they don't go to the right school, or if they're not smart enough, then it's a reflection on us.
But I don't know, like, back to what you were saying about the women in power thing. Like, I'm not really, I agree with what you're saying there, but I don't know if I could relate that to parenting, like, in the way that you are. Like, because I think every personality is different, and there's lots of women who do strive and like succeed, I mean, in that kind of role. So, you know what I'm saying? Well,
in a position in power, when you have a lot of people under you, you have to be a bitch or an asshole, I think, to retain power.
Do you? I respect people that, like, look at our CFO. Is he an asshole? And I respect the shit out of him.
But I don't know if he's an asshole. Like, what does he have to do to I bet you he is an asshole. I bet you that he has to talk to people all the time and say,
No, there's a difference between being an asshole and owning your decisions and being like, I know I'm right, so this is how it's happening and it is what it is. Like,
so being a man, because our CFO is a man,
Yeah.
does he have a different edge than as a woman? Because I think as a woman, when you're in a position of power, do people take you as seriously as they do when you're a man?
well, it's an interesting thing because back to the Yellowstone, because as soon as this girl comes on the screen, the very first episode, she's in this like office building and they're showing her giving shit to a man essentially in this like high rise building.
Yeah.
Like she's office,
Yeah.
hear me
Right.
roar. And me and Karsten, of course, all high on edibles, were like, what is this world coming to? Now they have to make this like woman a cunt to show that like women can be powerful. Like, is that, we didn't know what the show was about. We're just like,
Yeah.
going, they're trying to make this woman sound like a complete asshole.
Yeah.
To say women can be powerful too. And like, we were having the conversation and making fun of that. And I don't think that that's what it takes to make a good leader, though. Like, you don't have to be an asshole. There's lots of good leaders who are just good leaders. Like, good leadership does not equal being an asshole.
I find that as a woman, especially if you're in a position of power, men especially are going to try to take advantage of it or try to take it away from you. I think so.
I don't disagree. Like, I think that there's lots of that in the world. I just think that there I think if you're very good at your job and really competent and you can prove yourself time and time again, like in like a meeting with a man and you're like, you know, in a discussion and you prove yourself to be right, you prove yourself to be competent, you prove yourself to know what the hell you're talking about with confidence, then you'll gain that respect. Like it's definitely, it happens. You don't agree?
Yeah. Well, I do, but I also think that you need to be stern and firm and like I don't know if I have what it takes to do that.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So yes, fair enough. So you're saying like more often than not, women don't have that quality. Is that what you're saying?
I think that women can have that quality, but I think that, okay, if you have a man that's a manager and a woman that's a manager, the man is going to be able to be himself. He's going to be able to be funny. He's going to be able to be humorous, but the woman may have to just step up her game and focus herself as I am the manager. Treat me like the manager, which makes her a cunt, right?
Why? Why can't she do
like, I just think, I think that we do that as women because we want to be treated more seriously. And I think that is it still a man's world? Is it?
Well, it is. Like, it definitely is. It depends on the industry you're in, but I would say yes, absolutely. I just think that like, as we progress, I think that as long as you're a competent person who knows what the fuck you're talking about, people do respect that. It might take longer for a woman to prove that.
Yeah, but maybe.
And women often, like I know myself, even if I think I know the answer sometimes, if we're like in a meeting or something, I don't want to step up because it's like that confidence of, you know, I don't know, what if I don't, I might look stupid.
I know. Yeah,
right?
So I feel the same way.
And I think women do often go, oh, whatever, I'll just say nothing. It's not that big of a deal. Whereas maybe a man would say something, but not always.
So what if you have, so for instance, Greg is in the construction business, right? And so what if you had a woman leading the team in some construction discussion? Like I can just see like this, a room full of men and a woman and them just not taking her seriously because she's a woman.
Well, the problem is because in that industry, they're going, when have you ever lifted a heavy thing? When have you, like in that case, they go, you've never done it. I don't want to take your advice. It's the same reason guys on construction site hate the engineers who write the plans. They go, none of that makes sense. You've never actually done it. You read it in a book and you wrote it down. And yes, it's to spec, but like, it doesn't make sense for the following reasons. That's the same idea when they look at a woman and they go, how are you supposed to know because you've never done it? You're too weak.
How do you know she hasn't done it? That's like making assumptions.
Okay, maybe she has. Like Karsten, like in the industry too, and I've had many conversations with him about this. And he's like, I don't care if there's a woman on a job site. Like I would love it, But can she lift this? Like, can she lift a tub or a shower with me? No, I don't want her to, because she's probably going to drop it. Like, you can be the butchiest girl. You don't have the same strength as a man. But that same token, if there's like engineers, for example, in our oil and gas industry, we used to have a female, but maybe before you started, but she was a female, like essentially she was like really top, like manager of engineering. And she got so much respect because she knew what the fuck she was talking about. And men would sit there and they would listen to her. But it was because it wasn't like a physical thing. I think it was because she was using her brain and she was using her expertise and she had confidence. So people were like, they fully respected her, even though she was a woman in a man's role. So I think it depends on the situation. If you have confidence and you know you're like a woman who's being confident about a construction site is different, I think, because it's like, I guess it depends
really? Because you're like, really?
Yeah.
But you don't know, like, just because she's a woman?
It's, I don't know, like, I hate to say this, but like women are not as strong as men. We aren't. Like, we have other skills that we're better at, but like we're never.
No, but if it's a construction meeting, it's probably somebody who's leading a construction site, not somebody who's picking up the hammer.
But isn't it hard to take advice from somebody or to lead who's never done it? Be like, how do you know what I'm supposed to be doing today? Or how?
but you're making that as like, you're already making that assumption, and probably so are the guys. And she could have been in construction her whole life. But I think that just because she's a woman, we take it as like, you know, and it's crazy because we're women.
Yeah.
You know, we're women and we're saying that.
Yeah.
Anyways, whatever.
I think we're going in circles.
I think we are too. Do you got a what the fuck for me, or do I have a what the fuck for you?
I have one. Okay. So I found this new thread on Reddit. Like, I'm not a Reddit person, but I'm becoming a Reddit person now. So it's called Am I the Asshole? So I found
awesome.
They're perfect. So I've got a bunch of them. Though I'll start like kind of easy. So this person says, am I the asshole for shopping in the plus size section? So I was making my way through a clothing section at Target and everything was on sale. And I stumbled upon a clearance area that was like overflowing with stuff. So I found a big sweater. I held it up. It looked like it fit because like you can't go in change rooms these days. It looked like it fit and it was an extra large, but I didn't really care. So I took it home. I tried it on. I sent my friends some pictures. They all said, oh yeah. And I just like cropped it. I'm reading, obviously. I'm like paraphrasing. She cropped it and like put a belt and made it like whatever. She's not plus size. Her friends were all going, oh, that's beautiful. Looks good. Except one friend said that she shouldn't be buying from the plus size section because she's not plus size and plus size options tend to be more limited. So she's basically saying that this person was an asshole for buying at multiple sizes for her own and hence depriving actual plus size people. So is she the asshole?
That's the stupidest question I've ever heard. Of course she's not an asshole. You can buy whatever size clothes you want.
There's fat people who need those clothes and she's just taking it. Why can't she buy off her own size?
You know what? What if that fat person wants to wear a really tight shirt and bought a medium? Like that
she's
fat person
from me.
would be taking away from you. Like I call, like, what kind of fucking bullshit is that?
But you know what that is though? That is woke culture. So it's like that whole thing of in the acting world right now, you can't hire like, I don't know, a straight person to play a gay guy because there's so many gay people that need jobs and need roles. You need to hire a gay person or like
a trans person. You can't hire. I get it. Like but that's not really the same thing as wanting to wear an extra large sweater.
But do you think that the friend who said that is like trying to be woke? She's like, it's like, okay, so I have a friend who's very small. Like she's a small person. So she could buy children's extra large instead of adult small, right? Yeah, and it fits her the exact same.
But she's taking away from the children.
Taking away from the children. So, and because children's stuff is way cheaper, what if there is like a child who now couldn't afford to buy a woman's size small? He needed that extra large size child, you know? So my friend's an
Amanda,
asshole.
that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. And I think that the friend who said it I would just block them. Like you're a moron. That's my advice to her. You're a moron.
I read the thread and every single person agrees with us. That girl is not an asshole. You can buy whatever the hell you want. It doesn't really matter at all.
Like what? Like that's like saying, like I went to the ice cream store and I had like 3 scoops, and am I taking away from a fat person who really needed that extra scoop?
You totally are. Or like they started selling apple juice at my store, but I've never had apple juice before, so I decided to buy it. Am I taken away from the person who buys apple juice every day?
Juice? Yeah, the person who needs apple juice.
I don't know. I just think that people these days are looking for chances to be offended. Like that's just somebody looking to be offended. That's somebody going, oh, okay, what can I be mad about this for? You know, like what is going on with this world that like all we want to do is be offended and get mad at everyone?
Well, and maybe because the elections are over and we're, you know what I mean? And no one's really talking about COVID as much. So we need something. So let's talk about not being allowed to buy an extra large shirt. Like it is about the divisiveness again. And it's just like this fucking theme keeps coming up of us and them. And I'm seeing it all over Facebook all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to talk to that person anymore. They don't think the same way as me.
The COVID stuff is really bad. It's starting to really put some wedges.
I've been ignoring it. So I'm assuming it doesn't exactly exist anymore. But I guess if you're reading it, then
oh no, it's still there for sure. Do you have another one, or do you want me to?
Yeah. I can do one. People are pretty mad about the new regulations, right? The new COVID regulations about the whole being stuck in a hotel for 3 days.
The travel ones are ridiculous. I don't really want to travel, but the fact that I can't makes me really mad.
I hear ya. I wasn't ready, and now I have to go.
I can do another one.
No. I'm doing it.
Okay.
Okay. So this comes from somebody who's a hairdresser. My partner put on cameras at my barber shop. At first, I thought it was for security reasons, and I was fine with it, but figured out later that he uses it to watch and listen to everything I talk about with customers. He checks when I get to work and when I leave and when I get home, and I hear about anything that might have made him upset. I feel invaded at my workplace. I have a good relationship with my customers, and it makes him feel insecure. He wants me to do my job and be very brief with conversations. He would rather me not talk to a soul in the world. If I tell him that I don't want him spying, he'll take it against me. Am I wrong for feeling invaded?
What? Of course. Who is? Okay, sorry, I missed the beginning. Did you say it's her boss?
No, her boyfriend. So she has a hair salon, like obviously her own personal hair salon.
Her boyfriend?
Put cameras in it and listens to every conversation that she has with every customer, and then goes over it with her at the end of the day and says, why did you say that? And why did you like?
That's the most insane thing I've ever heard. Like red flag, red flag, red flag.
Run. And she's wondering if she can talk to him about it. Like here's the thing with people like this. It's like she doesn't understand her boundaries. Right. And she needs to go. She doesn't even know if it's okay or not for him to do it.
I'd like to know how old she is. Like
She has a hair salon.
So, okay, you pretty much had the same thing happen to you. Like your husband put cameras in your house and like you let it happen. So like let's see, like walk me through that. Like what made you think that was okay?
Well, so for him, like he was somebody he had security cameras outside the house, security cameras inside the house. And for him, it was, I just want to make sure that no one steals our things and da-da-da-da-da. Like he was so paranoid. Like he actually, this back in the day when phone lines were like, everyone had those cordless phones, and he had scanners so he could hear all the neighbors talking. So he would spend his evenings listening on a headset, listening to what all the neighbors were talking about. So this was somebody who was ultra paranoid, right? So for me, it was like, yeah, fuck, whatever. Like, like, what are you going to do? Watch me play with my kids all day?
But
And I didn't care. But I should have. Like, I would never, ever let somebody do that to me again, because when your boundaries are crossed and then they're pushed a little further and they're pushed a little further, like in the beginning, it seemed like, well, who cares? But then in the end, you're like, well, wait a minute. Like, nobody should have the right to listen to every conversation that you have,
No.
or like, it's insane. And it's
And-
only going to get worse for this poor woman.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think in your case, once he did that, like you were already so deep in with him and his kind of like delusions and the way that he behaved, you kind of thought it was normal. And it's like, hopeful she might be similar. Like he probably, like, what else does this guy do? Like, do you have to text him every time you get to the grocery store to make sure you're actually there? Does he have a tracker on your phone? I bet you he does. And like, I can understand being curious because I'm a pretty curious, nosy person. Like I started my whole other podcast because I was nosy as fuck and I just want to know what's going on in people's lives. So I could be like, you have like so many people in your chair all day. Like, what do you guys talk about? Have that question, ask those questions. Oh, you saw Sally today. Like, how's her husband? Like, if you're actually curious about that stuff. But it's more than that. What this guy is doing is he wants to make sure she's not up to anything bad. He wants to know exactly what she's saying. He definitely reads her text. He goes through her emails, guaranteed. Like there's no, if that's what he's doing, like he's also looking through everything else that she does. And that is
total control. It's total control. And
that's
what happens is that if you said to him, and I can hear it now, if you said to him, like, you're invading my privacy, he would say, well, if you have nothing to hide, then, you know, those who have nothing to hide nothing, right?
Yeah.
And I agree with that to an extent, meaning if you want to pick up my phone and see who my text messages are from, I don't have an issue with it. I'm not hiding my stuff from you.
Totally.
But you have no right to track me. You have no right to listen to my conversations, because that says you don't trust me.
Yeah. And there's also the side of it as, okay, so he's her partner. He should be contributing to the household, the life, whatever. If he's spending all of his free time reviewing these tapes, because how much time would that take? Like, what the fuck is he doing then? Like, that would make me crazy. I'd be like, okay, so you're going to come home from work, log on to the computer, sit there, listen to my 8-hour day. What the hell are you doing? Like, fucking go do some dishes or like get a hobby. Like, you fucking loser.
Well, we listen to podcasts all day. I mean, so I think that.
Good point. That's pretty much what we're doing, actually.
Well, oh yeah, we do listen to people's conversations all day long.
So, okay, interesting. Maybe I'm on his side.
Maybe I changed my mind.
Oh, okay. What she should do is make it a podcast, and then it's okay for him to listen. She'll just be interviewing her clients as she cuts her hair. That's actually a good premise for a show.
Yeah, but it is. We should start a hair salon. Except for, can you cut hair?
I know. I'll learn though.
It's not cool. It's not cool. That's the bottom line.
I like, it makes me so upset when I see this kind of shit, because like it's very easy to fall into it, and it'll last however many years. Like, you're a prime example, you know, like
well, it is. And like I said, it is one of those things where people take it just one little inch at a time, and you don't even really know it's happening. And it's like that idea of like, well, if it makes him feel better, then who cares? Who cares? But then it's like everything, what ends up happening is everything you do is questioned. And then you start getting anxious about the things that you're not doing.
Well, you told me about how you would take a bike ride or something, and he would check your kilometers, how far you went. And he'd be like, well, where you said you were isn't where, like, it doesn't line up. Where were you actually?
Well, he would say, okay, well, you know, your kilometer said you went 20 kilometers and you've been gone for 3 hours. So where did you stop? Who did you talk to? And then you did stop and you talked to Joe down the street or Janet down the street. And then you're driving home and your heart starts beating a little bit faster, knowing that you're going to have to account for your time. And does the story make sense? was it okay that you stopped and talked to his friend for 15 minutes? And so you start thinking about like, did I do something wrong? Like, I know I talked to Al for 20 minutes, and oh my God, did I say anything wrong in that time? Maybe that looks like I'm hitting on him. And should I tell him? Should I tell him that I talked to him? You know what I mean? Like and then you start thinking, well, if I lie about it and then he finds out, but if I tell him the truth, then you'll think I'm cheating on him, and then you look guilty. Like, you come home and you're
like sweating.
You're sweating. That's it. And you start stuttering because you have to qualify that what you've done is okay, and you don't know if it is. Like, you're thinking, I'm a piece of shit. Like, I shouldn't have stopped and talked to his friend for 15 minutes because what a piece of shit I am.
That's such manipulation, and it makes me so sad. But then I started thinking, do I do that with my kids, or will I do that with my kids? Like, where were you? Once they start driving, but it is different because you want them to be safe and everything. But then, like, when does that stop? They're like 27 years old. I'm like, I'm still tracking you. Where are you?
That's the thing with phone trackers and stuff these days. Like, I wonder, like, I guess I did have that technology, and my ex-husband actually did track my kids and their phones and would say, you're supposed to be in school right now. Like, where are you? And they're like, Dad, it's a pro G. I'm at my friend's house. And I never did that because I always felt that I needed to give my kids a bit of space. So that's another whole topic of how much freedom do you give your little shits?
I don't know. It's definitely, for me, I'm glad I don't have to deal with it yet. And by the time my kids are old enough, technology is probably going to be different. And they'll have something embedded in their skin, and I'll just like always know where they are.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Exactly. I think so too.
Okay, I have another Am I the Asshole?
Okay.
Gotta find it. I should have been ready. Okay. So am I the asshole for telling my sister she can't come to my wedding if she's pregnant? So, okay. So I've been going back and forth on this, and I can't figure out if I'm an asshole or not. So my sister got married last year. My wedding is this year, and it's been postponed a couple times, but I'm polyamorous and I'm getting married to 2 people. So she's having a poly wedding.
You can do that?
I think it's probably not legal. It's probably like one of those just ceremony things.
Yeah.
So that she's marrying a couple, like she's the third, and the couple has 2 kids already. One of them calls me mom already, so I'm like part of their family, but I can't have kids of my own. And she, like, it's a long thing. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but she's very sad about it. She wants to be able to have kids. So her and her sister have a messed up relationship anyways. Like, she was supposed to be a bridesmaid, but then she didn't get invited and all this stuff. Essentially what she's saying is if her sister is pregnant at her wedding, it's going to really upset her because she knows she can't get pregnant and she doesn't want to see that on her special day. So how is she the asshole for telling her sister, if you are pregnant at my wedding, if you're visibly pregnant at my wedding, I don't want you to come. I'd rather you just didn't.
Asshole, capital A. Asshole.
That's fucking nuts. Like,
that's insane.
The whole situation is messed up anyways. I like in the whole thing, she talks about how her and her sister have kind of a messed up relationship. And I think it's like a lot of jealousy to begin with. And I have empathy for her. It sucks that she can't have kids. Like, it sucks. Like when you can't have kids and you see people around you getting pregnant, that's shitty. But you can't expect people to just stop living their lives. And do you think that her not coming to your wedding is like going to magically make you be able to get pregnant? Like, no, it's not going to change anything. Like, she's your sister. Let her come to your wedding. If I was the sister, I'd be like, I don't want to come to your fucking wedding.
No, your wedding, not wedding, because it's not really a wedding, and she's not going to be with these people forever. Like, this is like what is that anyways? Like I'm sorry, but I just don't believe in it. I don't believe that you can really be in love with a couple. I just don't. But wait, I'm not done. Okay, well, just wait a minute. I'm not done. I'm not done. So, and she's so focused on how I feel. You know what I mean? Like she's so self-centered and she's not thinking about her sister at all, who is having a baby, and this baby is going to be part of her life. Like this is going to be her niece. So what is she's doing? Like if she is in this relationship and this, you know, like you think about your wedding as a moment of celebration for the people that you love to join you, and your sister should be somebody that you love. And by excluding her, you are also excluding your unborn niece or nephew. Yeah. And it's just, this girl is such a cunt. Like that really, like I have nothing else to say, but
I agree. But back to the poly thing, I think it's possible to be in love with two different people. I think it is possible to feel love for two people. Do I think it would work without jealousy and all that stuff? Especially because she's the third wheel. Like they're a couple that have kids and she's just getting married to them. They're always going to pick each other over you, like always.
Well,
right?
Well, there was that TV show Sister Wives. I don't know if that still existed, but didn't they all end up getting their own houses because nobody could get along? Like, wasn't that the end of the show?
That's, I think, different. I don't know if that's poly. I don't, because it's not like the wives were married to each other. It's like the man just like that.
That's true. The wives weren't having sex.
Living your best life as that dude. Like, fuck, you just like go from house to house. Like I probably about 10 years ago, I got obsessed with polygamy. Like I read so many books on it. I found it fascinating. And it's just crazy, the culture. The men have it made. Like they have different women in different houses, just like that show.
I need a man for every day. I really think I do. I think I need like a Tuesday man and a Wednesday man. And I'll just, because I don't want to have relationships with them, but one is never enough.
And it's not. And I think I'd want ones not just even for sex. Like I need them, like, because men, that's what they want. They want us for sex. That's what we're good for. That's what they want women for. I want a guy. I need the one who's going to change my tires. And that's, you know, one. Okay. Yeah. But I also kind of like the suit. So I need the guy who goes to the office every day. And I want to like come home and see him like in a suit. And I'll be like, hey,
but does he kill people on the side?
No, that's the cowboy. And then you got to have the one that like you actually really love. And like, he's the one that you're going to have kids with and like, you know, spend your Christmas with.
Yeah, but how can you, I don't know. I'm way too invested. I'm too emotionally invested. So I just can't do it.
I say that like, but we've talked about this before. I get connected and attached to the people I buy things off Kijiji with. Like,
yeah.
If I were to go on a date with, like, let's say me and Karsten weren't together. He died. I go on a date with one person, guaranteed I'm marrying that person.
I kind of feel the same way, but you think you would, but there's going to be a lot of people that you're going to be like, oh no, you're fucking weird.
Well, I have like such high standards now too, especially because I like know somebody so perfect. I'm like, I actually probably never move on. Is he listening, Karsten?
I'm so in love. I never move on.
That's true though. Like it is nice to feel that because like even just yesterday hanging out with him on the couch, I'm like, I actually really like you. Like I do. I don't know. I'm professing my love right here. Like him.
That is so weird, Amanda. You should get some counseling.
That's like your husband. I know. Most people don't like their husbands. It's true.
No, it's true. Yeah. You need some counseling so you can be like the rest. I'm not going to say the rest of us because I quite like Greg too.
Yeah, Greg's average. Okay, do you got any more? I might have more.
Okay, you do me. Go again.
Okay, I got you. I like this thread. It's kind of funny. Okay, so this is, am I the asshole for making my husband stay in the basement? So this is not the best description because that's not even what the issue is. So my husband likes to go to strip clubs. Under normal circumstances, he would go between every couple of months to a few times a month. I never really liked the idea of him looking at women like that, but I understand he has a hard job and needs to get away and unwind sometimes. By the way, that is not an excuse. That's insane. I have a hard job too, okay, motherfucker? Anyways. I don't complain or try to stop him, and I know it's not the same as cheating, so it's not usually an issue. The last year, my strip clubs have mostly been closed because of COVID. It's been a stressful time for all of us, and lately my husband's been even more irritable than usual. 2 nights ago was my son's 21st birthday. With everything being closed, we didn't have much of a celebration, but my husband said that he and my son could use some father-son time. I had to work overnight at the hospital, so I left them to their own devices. When I came home, the basement smelled like alcohol, and we have a bar in the basement, but we don't normally use it unless we have guests over. When I went to bed, I asked my husband. He said that him and my son just hung out downstairs playing games and having drinks to celebrate. Later, I was outside, and the neighbor asked me how the party was. I looked confused, so I went in to ask my husband. He told me nothing happened. Eventually, I got it out of my son that they had a bunch of friends over and they brought a stripper into the house. I don't know what I was thinking, but I blew up with rage and said if that's what he wants to do in our basement, he can just stay in the basement from now on. I don't even want to look at him. He ended up leaving to go stay with a friend. He hasn't been back, and my son hasn't spoken to me since. I know they're both grown men and they can do this sort of thing if they want, but I felt kind of hurt, like they were rubbing it in my face by doing it in our home. I may have overreacted, but part of me is still mad. Am I the asshole?
No.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah.
Why don't you think so?
So, you know what? If Greg said to me, oh, it's my son's 21st birthday or whatever, and I want to have a stripper over and this is what we're going to do,
Yeah.
then I would have the ability to go, I'm cool with it or I'm not cool with it.
Yeah.
But when he just goes ahead and does it and lies about it and he's a liar, so he's hiding something. And that's my issue is not, I wouldn't want my partner going to the strippers all the time.
No.
Anyways, like you go to the strippers once a year. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan, but go ahead. I'm probably going to come with you because if you're going, I'm going. But don't lie to me. What are you hiding? And the fact that the son is angry just goes to show that they've sort of bonded over this. Mom is an idiot.
Yeah.
And it just like, they are such assholes. He is the asshole. And once again, boundaries have been crossed and it's been pushed a little bit further. Yeah. And it just makes me so mad. And she just needs to get the fuck out of that relationship because she doesn't have one.
That's exactly what I was thinking this whole time I was reading it. I was like, you guys have a terrible marriage. There's nothing like, if you want to go to a strip club, whatever. But the fact that he needs to go so often, that's kind of weird anyways. Like, I've never really seen the appeal. And like, I know some guys are strip club guys, but most of the guys that I know in my life are like, I don't know, like, because like, what are you going to do? I don't know. It's just a weird situation. But anyways, that's besides the point. It's the fact like he hasn't been able to go. So he's super irritable. So I can just imagine the tension in the house anyways. Like he's that guy who probably sits there and makes her like spoon out his dinner. And like, he just sits there and like, I don't know. I'm like, fuck you. And like, as if he doesn't talk like shit to his son about his wife, like, oh, fuck her anyways. Like the whole vibe, it's like, you are not the asshole in any way. Your family, what your husband did, like while your son was growing up, like I can just picture that household. Like they have no respect for her. And like, it's like you said, if he would have said, I kind of want to do the strip club thing. It's his 21st birthday. He really like, he should experience it. Fine. Like, I can understand the appeal of that. He's 21. Like that's like a fun thing to do, but like to hide and lie and do it behind her back. And like, I don't know, a stripper in your house is like kind of like does put a pit in my stomach, especially once you find out there's lying. It's like, okay, well, what did you pay her to do? Like, did you pay her to fuck your son? Like, and like, or
fuck you or fuck everybody.
And fine, like whatever you need to do. That's besides the point, but it's like the lack of communication, the lack of like transparency with your wife.
It's the lying and the, not telling and the denying and then being angry when you're cornered. Right. And so that's the typical reaction.
When he left and now he hasn't come back and the son hasn't talked to her, like that's so shitty. Like, he's the asshole. And like, that just shows he doesn't give a fuck about her. And you see that so often with relationships when guys just clearly don't give a fuck about their wives. Like when we were younger, Karsten did a lot of like construction jobs, and there was always like that old dude who was like on the job site, and like we'd be at the bar. I'd go meet him, after, and there's all these construction dudes there. And there's like the old man who's like, oh, my fucking bitch wife's calling me. And it's like, oh my God, like why are you even married? Like if you're going to call her your bitch wife, like that just like, it puts such a like,
I know. And it's so shitty and and you know what? Here's what's going to happen. She's going to say to him, like, if this is what was going to happen, and she said, I don't want you to come back. Then first of all, they play out the whole, fine, I'm leaving. That's what they do. And they pretend like, they're so much better than you. And then you say, get the fuck out. And then they're like, what? I love you so much. I'm going to change. Like, that is the fucking pattern every single time.
Even if he's miserable, he goes and stays at his friend's house, friend Bob. And Bob's wife is like, dude, John's been here for 3 weeks. You got to get him out of here.
3 days.
Like, my wife really needs you to go home. Like, are you guys like going to work your shit out? And he's all like, fuck. So he goes home with his head between his tail. And then she goes, well, fuck, a divorce is a pain in the ass. And then they're back where they started. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. That is what's going to happen, because she doesn't want to leave that relationship. Because if she did want to leave it, she would have, like, this. If you don't know that this is bullshit, you're gonna keep on keeping on. And if you've had enough.
Your son's already 21, like how many other things like this has happened before? Like guaranteed at least, I don't know, 10, like 10 other big fights like this. Like,
a day?
Totally.
Like, I think that all the shit that she has to go through in her life, like, you wouldn't take that for 5 minutes.
I don't know if I would get in a situation where that would even happen. Like, I don't want somebody in my life that would ever treat me that way. But the problem is like, I don't know, like I've just always had this respect for myself. Like it's never even been an option that somebody would talk to me that way or treat me that way. Like, I don't know. Like
I said, boundaries are taken an inch at a time, and you don't even realize that it's happening.
Yeah.
And when it especially happens when you marry really young, right? Like when you get together at 18, 19, and then like everything is like, you don't know what to expect in a relationship or how things work or what you're supposed to do or say, especially if you weren't taught. So
there's a lot to be said about waiting until you're older to get married, man. Like I know these days people are, and it sucks when it comes to the whole biological clock with women because when you're the most ready, like financially stable, you know who you are as a person.
You're 40.
Kind of. And that's when you're like, I can't have kids anymore. So people, it's like you just settle because I want to start a family, and then you end up in that kind of relationship.
But don't you think now at your age or 35 that you are probably at the stage now where you really know who you are?
Well, I do. I think so. But I know when I'm 45, I'm going to be like, when you were 35, you knew nothing, right? Because that's how it works, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It is. Yeah.
So I don't know. I definitely feel better and more sure of myself than I ever have before. But every year I feel that way. Like when I was 25, I thought I was like super smart. Because when I was 18,
I remember feeling 12 and going, oh, I know everything. I do remember that.
That's the problem. Yeah. Oh, sad.
Well, should we wrap this sucker up, Amanda?
I think we probably should. Yeah.
All right. So thanks for joining us on what's our podcast called? It's really none of our business.
Thanks everybody for tuning in to the It's Really None of Our Business podcast.
Ciao.
Bye.
Thanks everyone for tuning into It's Really None of Our Business podcast with Monica and Amanda. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all the places. If you've enjoyed this podcast, tell your friends, and please rate and review us where you can. If you are brave enough to reach out and ask us for advice, we will definitely read it out on our show. We'll totally keep your name anonymous, so what do you got to lose? You can reach us by email at ask.noneofourbusiness@gmail.com. Looking forward to hearing from you guys soon. Ciao.